Alright, so back again today. My long overdue UFC 79 Nemesis picks are coming here. It's a good card. It's not the, or used to for an end of the year card back when Prague was around, but it's a solid card from top to bottom, I think. No real matches that should not be happening, and I'll start at the bottom, work my way up. First up, we have Canadian Mark Bosek versus the United States' Doug Evans. Doug Evans, of course, did a very good job of wrestling with Roger Huerta, kind of showed maybe that Huerta's takedown defense isn't what it should be, and Bosek lost to Frankie Edgar in fairly convincing fashion because he couldn't really enforce his game plan. Neither man is known for their striking ability, although I think maybe Bosek has a slight advantage there. He does have some rudimentary hand skills. Not a lot of kicks, but he has some hands. Bosek is a phenomenal submission grappler. He's easily the better grappler of the two, although a big question in this fight is, can he impose his will on Doug Evans, or is Doug Evans a strong enough wrestler to avoid that? And we're going to see. I am thinking Bosek will, and I'm taking him by tap out in the second round, just because I don't think Doug Evans has faced anyone near this caliber. And this kind of really sums it up. Bosek is a phenomenal grappler with some hands and good wrestling. So. Tony Dusa versus Juan Carero. Been going back and forth on this one. Of course, Tony Dusa is a training mate of BJ Penn. Juan Carero is, I do believe, out of the Brazilian top team, maybe American top team now, or Black House even. But great BJJ. Both guys are excellent grapplers. Dusa may be a slightly better wrestler. The thing I think that hurts him in the end is his gas tank. I think when it comes to the third round, I think he just may be done. And taking Carero via TKO in the third round, because there's no real questions about Carnero's gas tank. I think Dusa may even be a better fighter. It's just I don't see him finishing him. The gas tank seems to always come into play for Dusa. Next up, this is an interesting matchup. We have Jordan Rada versus Dean the Boogeyman Lister. Dean Lister, of course, is a world-class grappler, Abu Dhabi champion in the absolute division in his own weight class. Probably the best submission grappler at 185 pounds. But he's not a terribly good wrestler. And that's something that I think may limit him in this match, and his stand-up is just terrible. He's fighting Jordan Rada, who has decent stand-up, and is a great wrestler from Bulgaria. He, of course, didn't get to show his stuff when he got knocked out by Drew McFedries, who was a guy I actually thought Rada could beat. Didn't get KO'd the way he did. It's an interesting fight. I've been wavering on this a lot, but I think I've finally decided on Jordan Rada, just because I think Lister's going to have a very hard time taking him down and getting him down. He may pull guard, but I think Rada's smart enough to get out of it. Or Rada is also very hard to submit. I mean, he's got very short limbs. He's only 5'9". That's very short for a middleweight. And he's very hard to submit, very powerfully built. Lister will have a hard time submitting him, will have a hard time keeping him down, will have a hard time controlling him. I don't think he can strike with Rada, although this may be the first time Rada's ever had the striking advantage. Certainly the UFC it is. Also coming into play here is Lister's cardio. Lister tends to wear down after a round or maybe 2 rounds. So I'm taking Rada with a third round TKO stoppage. It's a bold gamble, and the odds are against me, but sometimes you just gotta go with it. Next up we have Nate Moore versus Manny Gambon. I've been going back and forth on this one, not so much on who's going to win. I've been pretty standard on Manny the Pitbull Gambon is going to take this one against Nate Moore. Nate Moore is a fantastic striker. Manny's a good judoka with some decent striking. He's a very solid base. You're not going to sweep him. Nate Moore doesn't have a terribly good ground game, especially considering he changed with Jeff Curran, which may not mean as much now that Curran got submitted by a right favor. But Curran is a very good grappler, and for what I hear, is supposed to be a good coach. Nonetheless, I think Gambon doesn't finish Nate Moore. That's been what I've been going back and forth, is whether he taps him, TKOs him, or decisions him. I'm going to go with a unanimous decision here, a very one-sided decision for Manny Gambon. Next, at the 205 division, we have James Irvin returning from his knee injury that he suffered against Thiago Silva, against newcomer Luis Arthur Bain. He's a Brazilian who's got fairly well-rounded skills, but he's a bit of a soft 205er, not that big. And Irvin's a big 205er, and I think this in the end is going to be too much. I think Kane's going to have a hard time if he tries to take him down, because Irvin is a pretty solid takedown defense guy. His ground game is horrible, though. But his stand-up is nothing to laugh about, and I think he knocks out Kane in the second round because he's got phenomenal KO power, a decent technical striker, good takedown defense. I think he's just going to be a little too much for Kane. I think Kane does have a future in the UFC. I think he is a good addition to the middle of the 205 division, but I think James Irvin is just not a very good matchup for him. Next we have St.Pierre versus Eddie Sanchez. Eddie Sanchez is, of course, coming off a win over Colin Robinson. This is Pele's debut in the UFC. Pele is a solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. He has decently well-rounded skills, as does Eddie Sanchez. Sanchez does have a good ground game. He does have he has heavy hands, even if they appear slow sometimes, and sloppy. But Sanchez could land a really hard shot and knock out Pele, but Pele is a Samoan and they tend to have very good chins. I see him not dominating the fight, but getting Eddie Sanchez down long enough to pound him out in the second round. I'm going to take Pele by second round TKO. It wouldn't overly surprise me to see Sanchez take this fight, because he is a good fighter, but I'm going to go with Pele. Next, I'm going to go against the grain a little bit and pick Rich No Love Clementy to tap out Melvin Gallard in the second round. Now, I mean, Gallard is a dominant striker. I mean, he's got great striking, he's got very good power, very athletic, but his takedown defense is not what it should be. And against a guy like Clementy, who is a very tough guy, very durable, the Clementy gets him to the ground and will tap him, because Melvin's ground game is still, seems no matter who he trains with, his ground game seems to just continuously be very suspect. Lyoto Machida versus Ramon Thierry Soju. I'll take Machida by a split decision. Even that might be giving Soju too much credit. When Soju fights strikers, he tends to end up... Actually, I'm going to make that unanimous decision. When Soju fights strikers, he seems to have a problem with them. And Machida is a guy who will pick you apart. He's a good counter striker. He's not going to let Soju use that power of his. It's a bad debut matchup for Soju, who I think the UFC fans are going to love, and is a guy that you could really showcase to the UFC fans. But just against Machida, it's not the fight to do that. Machida doesn't finish him just because I don't think Machida is a finisher. Yeah, I'm going to go with unanimous decision on that one. 2 matches left, and these are the headliners. Vanderlei, the ex-murderer Silva, champion in Pride, versus Chuck, the Iceman Liddell, longtime champion in the UFC. This match should have happened long ago, and of course it's not the match that it would have been. But I got a second round knockout for Chuck Liddell, just because, although Chuck doesn't handle strikers all that well, Vanderlei is a striker, and a good one. Vanderlei is a very wide open striker, leaves himself open to that KO power, leaves himself open to the counter punches, which is just why I've always said I think Chuck, and he's not as good a fighter as Vanderlei, because I think Vanderlei also has better ground skills and is just a better all-around fighter. I just think the matchup itself favors Chuck. Next, finally, we have Georges St.Pierre versus Matt Hughes. Now, I think Hughes, of course, is going to strike with him a lot less than he did in their second fight, which led to him getting knocked out, and this is, of course, for the interim welterweight title. I'm taking St.Pierre with a third round stoppage, just because I think St.Pierre is better at everything than Matt Hughes is. The key issue is, of course, Matt Hughes is still a good game planner. If he can get St.Pierre on his back, St.Pierre could be in some trouble. But still, I think that, and George has had a very short time to prepare, otherwise I think I'd easily take George. But I have gone back and forth with the Hughes St.Pierre, and I'm going with St.Pierre with a third round stoppage, likely a TKO or possibly even a KO. Just going to do a little betting advice. Matt Hughes and Chuck Liddell are both getting plus odds. They're going to lay some money down, and as is Rich Clementy and Luis Baja Kane. Even though, you know, I didn't pick Hughes, I didn't pick Kane, but with the odds they're getting, I mean, I could see them winning, and it's a decent investment. Also, a guy getting a real raw deal is Jordan Radiff. He's getting as much as plus 700 in some places. So you can bet very small on him and win some big money. That's my thoughts on the UFC 79 card. It's a good card. A lot of compelling matchups. I'm really looking forward to it. So,